Today we're talking Balto. I mean, who didn't love that movie as a kid?
Oh, definitely a classic.
Right. Heroic wolf dog braving the Alaskan wilderness to deliver medicine. You know the one.
Yeah, heartwarming stuff.
Totally. But get this. The real story is even more incredible. We're digging into all of it today. The Wikipedia entries for both the movie and the real-life Balto, plus we've got some great info from the American Kennel Club.
See, and that's what I love about these deep dives. It seems like a simple story, a dog, a sled, a race against time.
Right.
But it opens up all these questions about history, how media shapes narratives, even the genetics of these amazing dogs.
Absolutely. Okay, so for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, though, seriously, who are you? Picture this. 1925, Nome, Alaska. It's the middle of winter, and diphtheria hits the town hard.
And to make matters worse, their supply of antitoxin, it's expired.
Uh-oh, that's not good.
Not good at all.
Yeah.
It's a race against time, literally a matter of life and death. And here's the thing. Planes are grounded because of the insane weather. So their only option,
Go sleds.
over 600 miles, through blizzards, sub-zero temperatures, brutal.
The sources really highlight how dangerous this journey was. I mean, we're talking about more than 20 mushers, hundreds of dogs.
And it wasn't just the distance, right? It was the terrain, the exhaustion, the sheer cold. I mean, they didn't call it the Great Race of Mercy for nothing.
Wow. So that brings us to Balto, right? Movie star, big hero, or wait, maybe not.
But, well, the movie, let's just say it took some creative liberties.
Like what?
For starters, Balto wasn't a wolf dog.
He wasn't.
Nope, a purebred Siberian husky.
Wow, see, this is why I love these deep dives. You totally picture him all wolfish and brooding from the movie. Okay, so no wolf dog. What about the whole outcast thing?
Yeah, the movie definitely plays up that underdog angle. He's ostracized because of his supposed wolf heritage. But in reality, he wasn't feared or disliked at all. He was just a hardworking sled dog, part of a team.
So he wasn't the lone hero the movie makes him out to be?
Exactly. He was on the final team that delivered the serum. That part's true. But he wasn't single-podedly responsible for saving the day.
Gotcha. So the movie exaggerated his role a bit. I mean, I guess you could say he was the closer, right? Still impressive, but not the whole story.
Not even half of it. And speaking of not getting enough credit, there's another dog we need to talk about. One who might actually deserve the hero title even more.
Oh, and who would that be?
Togo, oh, he was something else.
Togo. Okay, you're going to have to refresh my memory. I'm not sure I've heard that name before.
A real veteran sled dog. Super experienced. And he'd already proven himself in some seriously tough Alaskan conditions.
Okay, so we've got Toga, the seasoned pro, tackling the toughest parts of the run. So how come it's Balto's name everyone knows? Balto's the one with the statue in Central Park, right?
Exactly. It all comes down to timing, you see.
Yeah.
And the media. Newspapers back then, they ate this stuff up.
A juicy headline.
Exactly. And Balto arriving in Nome with the serum exhausted, victorious, bathed in the light of the cameras, this front page news, the hero's arrival.
Makes sense. Poor Togo, totally overshadowed.
He was. But to be fair, within the mushing world, Togo is an absolute legend. I mean, Leonhard Sapala, his musher.
So was his owner.
Yeah, the musher, he always said Togo was the true hero of that 1925 serum run.
Wow. So even back then, people knew there was more to the story than the papers were letting on. Okay, so what about Balto? What happened to him after all the fame? He gets that statue, so it's not like he was completely forgotten.
Oh, no, not at all. But it's not all sunshine and roses. After the run, Balto, his team, Gunnar Kassen.
The musher from the last leg?
Right, Kassen. They actually went on tour. Vaudeville.
Wait, really? Like on stage doing tricks?
Pretty much. People couldn't get enough of the hero dogs of Nome. But here's the thing. It wasn't a happy ending for them.
What do you mean?
The tour, it was grueling, and the dogs weren't treated well. They ended up sold off to, get this, a dime museum in Los Angeles.
No way! From national heroes to a sideshow act.
It's heartbreaking. Chained up, barely exercised. A far cry from the open Alaskan wilderness they were used to.
That's just awful.
It is. But thankfully, that's not where their story ends. There was a businessman, George Kimball, from Cleveland.
Okay, so someone steps in.
He did. Kimball saw them at the museum and was just appalled by their condition. So he basically became their champion.
I love it. What'd he do?
He rallied the entire city of Cleveland, and they raised enough money to buy Balto and his teammates.
Good for them.
They were given a real home at Cleveland's Brookside Zoo, and Balto lived out the rest of his days there peacefully. He died in 33 at the ripe old age of 14.
14. Wow, that's a pretty good one for a sled dog, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
He even became a bit of a local celebrity there at the zoo. It's bittersweet, But at least he got a few good years after all that hardship.
It really is. I mean, talk about a life hero to sideshow attraction back to being honored and cared for. Balto's life had more twists and turns than, well, than a dog sled race. But hold on, there's more.
There is.
Oh, yeah. Remember how we were talking about cutting-edge science?
Oh, right.
Balto's story gets even wilder. So get this. In 2023, scientists did something incredible. They took some preserved samples
Brain samples.
from Balto himself, and they were able to sequence his genome.
Whoa, hold on. They got DNA from a museum specimen.
That's what I'm saying. It's unbelievable.
That's incredible. So what did they find? What can we learn from Balto's genes all these years later?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. They discovered Balto had some seriously impressive genetic diversity, like even more than modern purebred huskies. Seriously, more genetic diversity than today's huskies? That's wild. What does that tell us about, like, the history of sled dogs?
It's huge. It tells us that back then, breeders weren't so hung up on purebreds, you know.
Ah, so it was more about function over form.
Exactly. They needed dogs who could survive, who were strong, resilient, able to handle those brutal Alaskan conditions. Balto's genome, it suggests that those early sled dogs, they had this wider gene pool.
Which made them tougher, more adaptable.
Exactly. And honestly, it makes you think about those heroic statues, right?
It does. There's this whole other layer. It's not just about one famous dog. It's about what these dogs represent, you know?
Yeah.
What we can still learn from them.
Right. We get so caught up in these, well, almost mythic stories, but there's always more to uncover.
No kidding. This whole deep dive, it's been amazing. We started with a kids movie, and look where we ended up.
I know, right? Talk about a deep dive.
We got into the history, the debate about who really deserves the credit, and now we're talking about genetics. Balto hero, symbol, media sensation, maybe a bit of everything. What do you think? What stands out to you from his story? Whatever it is, I hope this deep dive got you thinking. I know I'm fascinated by all those other stories out there, all those other dogs and mushers who braved that serum run, like Togo and Leonhard Sapala. There's always more to learn. That's the beauty of history, right? It's full of surprises.